Good evening and good afternoon, everyone. We will be starting in about 1 minute because I see the attendees coming in right now. So perhaps we can start now. My name is Başak Yalman. I'm the Director of Professional Master's Programs at Koç University. Today we are joined by Professor Ayşegül Buğra and Ms. Esra Özcan, who's the Director of the Graduate School of Law, and also Ms. Melisa Abaşe, who's the Director of our International Student Recruitment Office. And I will leave the floor now to Professor Ayşegül Buğra. We will be here to answer any of your questions. You can write on questions or the chat, and we will try to answer as we go along. And we will also have a Q&A session after the presentation. So Ayşegül Hoca, I leave the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Başak Hanım. I would like to begin by introducing myself. I'm currently acting as Associate Dean at Koç University Law School. I'm also directing the Dr. Nusret Samad Arsel International Business Law Implementation and Research Center. And in our LLM program, I'm also giving international transport law course. So in case you have any questions about that course, I will be very happy to answer them. So I would like to begin by providing you some photos of our lovely campus. As you can see, we see here our Suna Kıraç Library, our Koç University Tower, our Sevgi Gönül Auditorium, and another photo of one of our yards. So hopefully, if you are admitted to our LLM program, you will be seeing more of these. So I would like to provide you some information, some introductory information about why doing an LLM at Koç University Law School. First of all, we should probably start by giving an overview of the faculty members who will be teaching you. I would strongly recommend you to go on our website and to have a look at the backgrounds and at the profiles of our faculty members. You will see from their CVs that they are not only nationally renowned, but also internationally renowned, and they are dedicated to train a new generation of lawyers. So I think it's really important to understand that teaching is embedded in research and research is embedded in teaching. So we have faculty members who are both known in teaching and research, both at national and international level. So please do go on our website to see their profiles, and some of those faculty members will also hopefully teach you on our LLM program if you are admitted. Another issue that would need to be emphasized is that we have obviously a wide curriculum in our LLM program, and we try to discuss the most demanding and perhaps less discussed comparative and international topics of different legal disciplines. We obviously have two LLM programs, or two tracks, LLM in public law and private law. And as regards both of these programs, we try to proceed with a comparative approach. And that obviously, I think, makes our program really of good quality. We also try to provide our students an international environment. If you are admitted, you will have the opportunity to see that we admit a qualified group of national and international graduate students. In a bit, I will be talking about the relevant countries from which our students come. So I will give you a world map where we have identified relevant countries. So in case you are admitted, you will be in an international environment that is an environment with a qualified group of both national and international graduate students. Needless to say, we have very strong academic collaborations with leading institutions in Europe, Asia, and the Americas. This is partly based on our cooperation under the Erasmus Plus program, under the Global Exchange program, and obviously Koç University Law School has also individual partnerships, individual collaborations with a number of leading institutions in the world. In case there are any questions, I would like to elaborate on this further, but at this point, I could perhaps just mention the Law Schools Global League, which is a platform where leading law schools from all around the world become members of, and we're really proud to state that our current dean, Professor Bertil Emrah Oder, acted as a co-president of this platform in the past. So in case you are interested in the Law Schools Global League, you are very welcome to go online and have a look at their website. And we're really proud that our law school is a member of the Law Schools Global League. One thing that would need to be particularly emphasized, and I'm sure that you will be interested in finding out, that our LLM programs are offered in a modular format. So the lectures are offered on especially Fridays and Saturdays. So in case you would like to pursue part-time work, that is obviously possible, because you will have to attend the lectures only on Fridays and Saturdays, which will give you plenty of time to focus on your work at the same time. I will be mentioning the tuition, but we should probably state at this point that that's quite affordable. I would like to say a few words about our research centers and working groups, because that gives an understanding, an idea as to our research focus. We have the Dr. Nusret Samat Arsel Center for International Commercial Law, Center for Global Public Law, and we have a number of working groups. We also have Koç University UNESCO Chair on Gender Equality and Sustainable Development. We wanted to mention the main themes that are studied under these research centers. For instance, under NASAMER, we try to organize high caliber events and conduct research specifically on taxation, trade and development, shipping and insurance, international sale of goods, competition, banking, and intellectual property. In case you are interested in finding out more on NASAMER, you are very welcome to go on NASAMER's website, which is provided on this slide. In respect of the Center for Global Public Law, the themes on which the center focuses, again, both in the organization of academic events and in respect of research, these are global issues of constitutionalism, conflict resolution, judicial review, and international criminal law. Again, the relevant website is provided for your information. And Koç University Law School has a number of working groups, and there are independent research, obviously, carried out in these working groups. And the main themes can be provided as entrepreneurship and innovation, banking and finance, liability and risk management, and gender equality. So, as I mentioned before, our university and law school offers two tracks. LLM in private law and LLM in public law. You can either do an LLM with thesis. This is a research-based LLM program, which lasts for 2 years. And in this case, you will need to take 7 courses and you will have to write a thesis. In the event that you would like to pursue an LLM non-thesis, a non-thesis LLM program that is rather a thought LLM program that lasts 1 year, and in that case, you would need to take 10 courses and write a final paper, which is different than the thesis. Some general features of our LLM programs. Our courses are offered in English, but exceptionally, there are some bilingual courses or some courses offered in Turkish, but there are plenty of courses in English available and offered to our international graduate students. Also, as I previously mentioned, our courses are modular. This means that they are of 6 to 8 weeks of total duration. They are held on Fridays and Saturdays. And also one important component of our LLM programs is that students can also enroll in elective courses offered by other MA and MSc programs at Koç University. Now, because I mentioned courses that you can take and the number of courses, let's have a look at our LLM curriculum. This is obviously a non-exhaustive list of the courses that you can take, but it nevertheless provides you with an overview. So if you seek to do an LLM in public law, then there are a number of courses that you are expected to take. So we can mention comparative constitutional law, transnational and European criminal law and procedure, European human rights law, public-private partnership legal infrastructure. Should you seek to do an LLM in private law, then among the courses that are offered to you, we can cite World Trade Organization law and trade, international and European contract law, dispute resolution mechanisms in international private law, and global competition law. There are also a number of common elective courses. So if you seek to do an LLM in public law or an LLM in private law, you are very welcome to get enrolled in any of these common elective courses. Just to name but few, international transport law, the course that I teach on our LLM program is one of them. International labor law, intellectual property in a global perspective are just some to name. About the admissions, you will be submitting an application. If you are thinking to submit an application, that application will be an application for the fall. So the deadline for the submission is 23rd of June. This is basically the website through which you can submit your application. And we should probably mention the fact that our admission process is selective and holistic. So what happens when you submit your application? First of all, we conduct interviews with you, and you need to sit written exams. The interviews will be conducted via Zoom, and there is already a date set for these interviews, and that's 11th of July. And the written exams will basically happen right after the interviews, and it will be online as well. The offers are made within 4 to 5 weeks after the interviews take place and the written exams are done. And the enrollment basically occurs in late September 2023. A few words about the admission criteria. You see that the criteria are slightly different in between the thesis and non-thesis program. In both of the programs, we require a TOEFL or an English language test that we call in Turkish YDS or YÖKDİL, which the student has to score 80 or above in these. If you have an IELTS, this is not accepted for enrollment in Turkey, but you can apply with IELTS if you have a valid test score. But before the enrollment, you will need to take either TOEFL or if you are a Turkish national, YDS or YÖKDİL score of 80 or above. ALES score is required only for Turkish applicants, and if you are willing to do an LLM program with thesis, and the relevant score that you have to obtain is 55 or above in that case. Regarding the minimum LLB grade point average, you need to have 2.75 out of 4 in case you would like to apply for an LLM program with thesis. And if you would like to apply for an LLM non-thesis program, then 2.50 out of 4 will be sufficient for application. And in both of these cases, either you would like to see, you would seek to apply for the LLM program with thesis or non-thesis program. In any case, you will need to have an LLB university transcript plus an LLB diploma. Now, this is basically just to give you an idea about the tuition fee for 2023 and 4, and that is payable in 2 quotas. So the same amount for the LLM with thesis and the LLM non-thesis programs. About merit-based scholarships. So if you seek to do an LLM with thesis, then we can do a tuition fee waiver of 25%, 50%, or 100%, but that is obviously based on successful performance in written exam and interview. That is why it is called merit-based scholarship. If you would like to seek to do an LLM non-thesis program, then you may receive a 25% fee waiver. Again, that is based on successful performance in written exam and interview. So I mentioned that we have a qualified group of international graduate students, and this is basically just to show you the countries from which our students come. So we can name, for instance, United States here, Brazil, Kenya, South Africa, Ukraine, Germany, Russia, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, just to name but few. About the LLM international exposure opportunities, and that is important if you're coming from a different country to Turkey and you would like to go to another country to spend 1 or 2 semesters as an international graduate student at Koç University. This is perfectly possible. You may, for instance, wish to go to another country, to another institution in order to write your final paper if you are enrolled in a non-thesis program. If you are enrolled in a thesis program, then you may seek to go to another university in order to write your thesis or in order to conduct research for writing your thesis. So that is perfectly possible, but you obviously have to have successfully completed the courses. So again, perhaps I need to mention the fact that Koç University Law School and Koç University generally has collaboration with a number of institutions. We have agreements with a lot of leading institutions in the world. So provided that you comply with the relevant conditions for application, then you are welcome to spend a semester or 2 in another institution in another country. If you would like to know more on the Koç University Graduate School of Social Sciences and Humanities, we provide a link on this slide. Also, if you are interested in finding out more on Koç University Law School, again, you may visit the link provided on the slide, or you may raise your questions with Ms. Esra Özcan, the email of which is provided here. In respect of international applicants, you may have several different questions. You are very welcome to visit international.ku.edu.tr or email the relevant email address here. We also provided you with our social media accounts in case you would like to hear more of Koç University. And with this, I would like to end my presentation, and we will be very happy to answer your questions if there are any. Thank you very much.
I see there are some questions in the Q&A that some have been answered and some are being answered. I just want to tell you that you can also ask your questions in Turkish if you prefer, and we can answer them in both Turkish and English. So there's one question from a student in Pakistan seeking scholarship opportunities. So I think, Professor Buğra, what you said, the scholarship opportunities are for both Turkish and international students, right?
Of course. They are merit-based, so we ask you a few questions in the interview. So if we see that your performance at the interview is satisfactory, then we may obviously consider giving you a tuition fee waiver.
Also, Faruk has a question about the Turkish, if the tuition fee for Turkish citizens. Yes, the Turkish citizens pay the tuition in Turkish lira and international students pay in US dollars. And the Turkish tuition fee is about to be finalized. We're still waiting for approval, but it should be roughly equivalent to the dollar amount. But it will be finalized, and we will let you all know. We will send an email when we have the approval from our board.
Shall I just read the next question? So there are 2 questions from Konstantin Roska. You haven't yet received your final transcript and diploma, as you will graduate on the 29th of June. Is it possible for you to apply with your transcript for 3 years and later update it? Shall I refer this question to Ms. Özcan, perhaps?
So Konstantin, I see your application in the system, so I can answer your question. So yes, you can apply with whatever you have for now. And even if you don't have your diploma yet, we can invite you based on your current transcript. We can invite you to an interview and written exam on the 11th. If you've passed them successfully, we can only give you a conditional offer, stating that you will have to submit your diploma and final transcript, and then we will make the final decision on that. And regarding your second question about a holistic approach, would you like to, Professor Ada, mention about how you evaluate applicants?
Yes, obviously, yes. So there is this concept of holistic admission. We do not only look at the GPA, for instance, or we do not only look at the TOEFL score. We obviously look at these scores in order to evaluate whether or not you comply with the necessary conditions of application. But in selecting the candidates, we also evaluate them on the basis of their oral performance and on the basis of their knowledge of law. Because that's really important for us. You have to have a certain basis of legal knowledge in order to perform well in our LLM program. So in order to evaluate this, we need to ask you a number of questions on law during the oral examination or during the interview. So the interview does not mean that we try to get to know you better. We obviously ask you a number of questions as to where you graduated from, as to whether or not you are particularly interested in a certain area of law. Those are the questions that we usually ask, but we also ask questions of law in order to be able to understand whether you also sort of merit a scholarship. So this is what we mean by a holistic admission process. We do not only look at your score, we try to evaluate you by using different means.
I'll answer the second question from Sarah. Sarah, I remember we met and we talked about this issue. Let me tell you, like, how do you mean by how we will have both oral exam and written exam? First of all, they will be all online through Zoom. In the morning session, you will have an interview with the committee, and in the afternoon, late afternoon, or in the evening, you will have 2.5 hour written exam. So everything will be on a day on 11th of July. So regarding Utem's questions about
I can
sorry, Melissa.
join in here. So there's a question whether there are any fully funded scholarships that would also include room and board or food and accommodation. In the case of our master with theses for the LLM program or non-thesis, they do not include room and board. For this, we advise international students to seek external funding sources that can provide financial aid to cover these costs. We have information on the International Admissions website to give you an idea of how much you should budget for your expenses in Istanbul to cover rent and food, local transport, etc. And we encourage you to check sources that you can apply to, whether in your own country or international scholarships that are that you may be eligible based on your nationality, age, that are eligible for law programs as well, and at the graduate level. Usually students do their own research to find this type of fellowships or scholarships, or they also look into the options of educational loans that can be granted by financial institutions in their country. In Turkey, we do not have the opportunity to provide educational loans to international students. So that's the situation.
I can see a question about which subjects will be included in the written exam. So if you are applying for an LLM in private law, then the topics that we will be asking, not the topics, but the general themes that we will be asking will probably be relevant to contract law and private international law, because we assume that every single candidate that applies will have studied both contract law and private international law. If you're applying for an LLM in public law, then assuming that each and every candidate must have studied, for instance, constitutional law or public international law, there might be questions on these areas of law. For instance, I myself teach insurance law or maritime law, but I am very well aware that these subjects are not taught in every single institution, not taught in every single country. So obviously we take this into consideration, and we try to evaluate or assess the students on the basis of the courses that we are almost sure that they studied. I hope this answers the question.
There is a question about passport, so I can answer this. So Sana has a question saying, my passport expired recently and it's in process of getting renewed. Can I still apply? Yes. So what you can do is that you can upload in the application form your current passport, and you can, once you have if you're offered admission, once you have a new passport, you can also upload it to the application form. The passport is going to be important later on when you're applying for your student residence permit, which is a process that you have to do once you are in Turkey. And if your country of citizenship requires you to apply for a visa to enter Turkey, then of course you would need a valid passport to apply for that. But if your country of citizenship allows you to enter Turkey without a passport or with an e-visa, then it's slightly easier. But in terms of applying, yes, you can apply.
I can see that there is a question about the fact that they have an LLB degree with 60% marks. Am I eligible for admission in LLM program? Well, it depends on which LLM program you are applying for. Are you applying for an LLM with thesis or without thesis? If you're applying for an LLM without thesis, so a non-thesis LLM program, 60% is, as far as I can calculate, not sufficient, because the 2.5 or 2.50 out of 4 is required, which is equivalent of 62.5, if I calculate correctly. And in case you would like to pursue an LLM with thesis, that's certainly not enough. So if I'm not wrong in calculating, that's what I can state, perhaps.
I think the next two questions are very similar with regards to the need to provide an English proficiency exam if their LLB degree has been taught in English. So it is a requirement as far as I know, but Esra Hanım can maybe fill in.
Yes. Even though you study in English, you got your LLB degree from an English program, you still have to provide a TOEFL score if you're a non-native speaker. So this is a must, but you can still apply. If you don't hold a TOEFL score at the moment, you can still submit your application. That will be a missing document, and if everything passes well and you get an offer, that will be conditional offer. So we advise you to get the required score within the first semester. So yes, you will have to submit.
And the second part of the question was about scholarship requirements for international students. So just to clarify, there's no difference between the admission requirements for domestic or Turkish students and international students. All candidates are evaluated in the same way in terms of admission and scholarship decisions, as Professor Buğra explained earlier today. So I think we're very much now on time, and we see no more questions here. So.
Any last questions?
Well, very clear.
If you have any questions, you can always email us at the email maybe I'll write in the chat the emails once more. And we will be sending you this recording. So if you have any friends that couldn't join today, please make sure to forward it on. And
So there's a last question, I think,
Okay.
about whether the first semester starts in September. To the best of my knowledge, the enrollment happens in September, but the courses will start in October.
October, yes. The current calendar, it's setting the start of classes in the first week of October, but that may be subject to change by the Higher Education Council of Turkey. So we will know for sure, I think, by the end of June, early July. But yes, the enrollment for international and domestic students happens during September. And it's an online registration process. You do not need to come to the university at that point. All of the documents are uploaded in an online form as well.
I think I will just share this here. Okay. These are the email addresses that you can get in touch with. And thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining, and have a nice rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ayşegül Hoca. Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.